Samuel Sonning, very welcome to Fri Tanke podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Um, you are a tech entrepreneur with specific focus on artificial intelligence and chess, and that's really interesting because chess has been an AI subject for what is it, 70 years or something. But tell us a little bit about your own background first.
Sure. Well, I have a background in engineering. So I studied engineering with a focus on interaction design. So, how to make tech more usable to humans, basically.
Mm,
Um, and that's kind of something that I have been fascinated by ever since I was a kid.
mm,
I remember reading like a book about Deep Blue,
mm.
the first computer to beat like the world champion in chess, and I
Kasparov,
was Kasparov, yeah, and I
97,
was
I think.
really, yeah. So I was just like 10 years old
Mm,
back then, but I was really fascinated about that because it combined kind of two interests that I've always had. One of which is, the human psychology and like the human brain and how we work as humans. And the other is building tech. So growing up, I had all these ideas about like this thing isn't working so well. Maybe we could make tech smarter so that it could adapt to us as humans rather than the other way around, which is like in many ways the world is becoming more and more complex
mm.
even though we have all these advances in tech, especially for the older generation. Tech is actually getting like more difficult to use because we're just adding complexity all the time.
Mm.
So I wanted to understand how we could utilize like advancements in AI and other subjects to make tech that's more human friendly.
So that
Um,
is what you call computer-human interaction, right? So the fields of
yeah,
study, so to
that's
speak.
that that's like one of the big fields of study in
Mm,
my masters.
mm,
But also with a lot of focus on like the design process, how to build products from ideation to actually taking them out in production.
mm,
So already in my education, I was just doing AI projects,
mhm.
and after after completing my education, I started working at a company in Umeå. I'm from Umeå in
Yeah.
north of Sweden,
And where did you
um,
study this, by the way?
at Umeå University.
Yeah, okay. Mm,
So Umeå University was actually first, like maybe in the world, to have a full master's degree with a focus on like this engineering, but with a human-computer interaction
okay,
focus.
interesting. Mm,
So I started working at a company called Limes Audio,
mhm,
which basically took calls like this.
mhm.
And sometimes you have crappy audio, like
Yeah.
maybe you have echoes from your own speaker or you have all this kind of noise. So I was building, like doing AI. Well, it was called signal processing back then, but basically taking this audio and making it sound better. Until in 2017, we were acquired by Google. So I moved, started working at Google in Stockholm with the same kind of things,
Mhm.
and quickly got into deep learning. So instead of using these traditional methods, I started working on neural networks that could do all these things much better
Mm.
than before. And in terms of like my interest in chess,
But before we
I
go there,
read.
before we go
Okay,
there, I'd like to
sure.
just ask you a few more things about this because you say that technology has become more and more complicated all the time, but I'm old enough to have been around when computers just had character-based interfaces before the graphical user interface. And I mean, the graphical user interface was a huge revolution in user friendliness, I would say, at least. So, so
I agree. Like there's a lot of advancements happening on that front as well. But on the other hand, the whole world is becoming reliant on this tech, and that
yeah,
means that like before, when you have these mainframe computers, you would have experts using them. But
yeah,
now, basically, everyone needs to be able to use a computer,
yeah,
and they need to use their phone and pay with them. And we don't accept cash anymore, and so on.
true, true.
So in a lot of ways, it's a struggle to kind of keep pace. Like
Yeah.
the tech and the complexity is increasing, so we need to keep pace with adapting it to the human as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I remember the story in the 1990s. I I got to know Alan Kay, who was head of the Xerox PARC's Palo Alto Research Center, and
Yeah.
they developed the first prototype of a graphical user interface in their lab. And he told me once when they presented it to the board and said we should commercialize this as a product, the board said no, 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 that's too abstract, and we make copying machines here. We don't do weird software projects. and then and then and then Alan called his friend to come to come over and to see this in the lab. I think this was 1976 or something, and his friend had just come home from a year or something in India doing meditation and psychedelics, and showed him the interface, and that was Steve Jobs. So, and the rest is history. Yeah, but anyway, okay. So go on. You were interested in this, and where did chess come into this picture?
Sure. So I've always liked chess. I used to play with my father when I was a kid,
Mm.
but he rarely had like I wanted to play all the time, and he would play me like 2 3 times per year at most.
Okay, okay.
So I was growing up with this feeling that chess is something that I instinctively felt that it's kind of part of my identity, but
Hmm.
that I didn't get too much chances to actually practice. So I remember looking in these magazines with like um, tech gadgets, and I really wanted to have this chess computer where you have a board and you can make
Mm.
moves and the computer makes moves back. I never got one, but and then so for me, when online chess started to become really accessible, that
Mm.
was kind of a revolution. So I didn't really take up chess seriously until I was an adult and
Mm.
could start playing online.
And which
Um,
online service did you was
I, I
in the team?
yeah, I started playing at Fix, like the free internet chess server,
Okay,
which was there was like ICC and
yeah,
Fix. Those were the
okay.
two back then. But the interfaces were like it was difficult to find a match. Like nowadays, you can just open the app and you get a match. But then you had these, you had to sit there and wait for someone to make a challenge at the right level, and then you would click it and so on. So
Yeah.
it wasn't as accessible as it is today.
Hmm.
But then, like when I worked at Google, I started um, commuting to Stockholm, so I had a lot of free time on like
Hmm.
weekday nights,
Yeah.
and that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to become really good at chess now. I'm going to practice all the time
Okay.
because I love learning new stuff. Like I love practicing stuff.
Mm.
So I was like, why shouldn't I become a chess master?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so I started buying books and like playing online. Um, One thing I noticed though is that with chess being so accessible online, it's also kind of addictive.
Mm.
And you have these shorter time controls. Like traditionally, chess is a kind of calm sport where you really take the time to think through
Yeah.
moves. But on these online services, uh, the brain just takes quick
Mm.
fixes, and so basically, I ended up just playing these really fast blitz games, like 3 minute games.
Yeah. That's my
Uh,
favorite
uh,
too. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really addictive, but I don't think you learn a lot from them. Like you
No,
learn to be fast, but you can't really grasp what's happening. And when
mm,
you finish the
true.
game, you just want to go on to the next one. Like I
Yeah.
want to, I lost, I want to beat the next guy, and
Mm.
so on. Uh, so that's kind of what triggered me to start thinking about what's a good way to learn chess. Like this isn't working.
But
So our
when you played online, did you learn? Did you change your? I mean, what time? What kind of blitz chess do you play now, or do you even play blitz chess when you play online?
Yeah, I only play 3 minute games.
So you're still on 3 minutes. Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting because I play a lot of blitz chess with my wife, and we played for with 3 minutes plus 3 seconds per move for like 2 years. But then we actually changed to 5 minutes plus 5 seconds per move, which actually gives you much more time to think.
yeah,
Uh,
I think that's better.
yeah.
So I often like when I feel now I really want to learn, I start by playing a 5+5 game or a 10+0 game,
Mm,
and then after I lose the first game, I get a bit frustrated and I want to win and I want to win quick.
yeah.
So I start
Okay.
playing the 3 minute games, and then
Okay.
when I've lost a few of those, I start playing the 1 minute games. So,
Oh
and
God.
I've heard this from a lot of people. Like,
Mhm.
um, yeah, you're kind of a victim to your brain's own um, um, trying to find these kind of dopamine hits.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't think that's the best for learning. And you need to
Yeah.
be kind of disciplined to stay with these longer games and like analyze them and so on.
Yeah. So true. All right. So this was your background interest, and now you actually created a unique software. Tell us about that. Tell us about Noctie. What is that?
Yeah. So I was thinking a lot about this, and at the time, like 2017, 2018,
Hmm.
Google DeepMind came with this new AI technology, which was kind of a revolution in the AI
Yeah.
space and the chess space as well. AlphaZero,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you know, like two neural networks, well, one neural network playing against itself, starting with just the rules in chess, and
Mhm.
after 4 hours, it became so strong that it could beat any human on Earth and most computers
Yeah.
as well. And one thing that fascinated me about AlphaZero is that it kind of played in a completely different way compared to regular computers.
Hmm.
So regular computers, like anyone who has played against them, know that they play kind of robot-like, kind of mechanically, because they have this thing where they look 30, 40 moves into the future. So they don't make any like natural mistakes, but they also play moves that are objectively good but look really strange to a
Mm.
human.
Mm.
And that didn't really happen with AlphaZero. It played much more in an intuitive style. Um, and it turns out that like normal chess computers, to beat the best human chess players, they need to look at like tens of millions of moves
Mm.
before they choose their move. But if you take AlphaZero or the open source implementations that exist today with a
Mm.
similar architecture, and you don't let it look at any moves at all,
Hmm.
like it can just look at the position and instinctively kind of play the first move that makes sense.
Mm.
It turns out that it plays at the grandmaster level,
Wow.
and that really like that really made it click for me. Like it actually understands chess. It
Mm.
actually has a superhuman understanding of chess, and
I must
maybe we
tell
can.
before you go on. I must just tell you something that I find very fascinating. I met an international grandmaster like 2 years ago, and he said to me that if you looked at a game with a traditional chess computer, if you just looked at the moves written down on paper and you knew that one side was played by a computer and one by a human, he could almost always tell which side was played by a computer by just looking
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
moves. But that is not possible with AlphaZero, he said. I can't
Yeah.
say which side is played by the computer. So
No.
that confirms a bit what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
So I wanted to, like, I was thinking about how can I, if this neural network understands chess so well, maybe it can teach me. So
Mm,
maybe I can extract some insights. That would be more like having a human teacher.
mm,
Instead of having these computer analysis saying, oh no, you missed a move because 20 moves into the future, this loses a pawn. Like
mm,
that's not actionable for me as a human. But having an AI that actually understands chess, saying like, this move doesn't feel so good, that's a lot more helpful to
mm,
me as a human. So I was thinking about this and realized that, okay, AlphaZero has this superhuman intuition, but what if we take the same kind of AI, but we let it look at human games? So there are databases of billions of games
yeah.
between humans.
Yeah.
So maybe it can learn how a beginner thinks about
Mm,
chess.
mm,
Like, how does a beginner play chess and what kind of mistakes do they make? Because if it can do that, then you can both make the computer the kind of perfect practice partner to a beginner.
mm,
It would play just like a human would at their own level. But you can also uh, tell the beginner, like, okay, someone that's a bit stronger than you would have preferred this move instead. And that's probably something the beginner can learn from, because it's not this, oh, it's so much above my level. It's just someone that's a bit better than you would probably play this instead.
mm,
So that would be kind of sitting across the board with a friend that maybe has played chess for 2 years and you have just played for 2 months, and you would play a friendly game,
mm,
and they would give you advice. Like,
mm.
that's probably one of the best ways to learn chess, and that's what we have tried to recreate with Noctie.
That's really fascinating. So basically, you developed a chess program that plays chess, but also teaches you chess. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
Um, can you say something about the architecture? What is the underlying AI architecture in Nocti?
So we're using the same kind of neural networks that's used in AlphaZero. So
Hmm.
these are deep neural networks that learn to guess from a position, like what's the evaluation of this position, who will win,
Hmm.
and what's the most likely move to be played for a player of a certain rating. So it can say, given a position, like a beginner would play this move 70% of the time and this move 30% of the time, while a grandmaster wouldn't play any of those moves. They would play this move 100% of the time, for example.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the kind of predictions that come out of our neural networks. And then on top of that, to actually emulate the human thinking process in chess, that's not enough. You need to do, like, humans are a bit more advanced than that. Like, when you play chess, maybe you realize after you think about a move, and then you realize, oh no, that doesn't work, and then you start calculating,
Hmm.
and that's something that you also need to emulate in order to get a realistic playing experience, including like how long does it take to play a move, because that's the first thing I discovered when playing chess computers when I was a teenager,
Hmm.
that they play every move with the same delay. So,
Hmm.
when a human plays a move and they have thought about it for 20 minutes, you know that they have probably calculated a bit.
Hmm.
Uh, And when they play a move really fast, you know that either they had already calculated it or it's played on intuition. But that doesn't hold for computers, and that gives you it feels very uncanny
Hmm.
to play
Yeah.
against computers. And this computer that I played as a teen, it had this behavior that, like it played every move with a 1 or 2 second delay, and then suddenly it started playing moves instantly. And
Mhm.
that's when you knew that, oh, right, it's calculated all the way, like 12, 14 moves where I will be checkmated. And
Ah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
it's playing instantly. And then
Okay.
you don't feel very motivated to keep playing.
That's true. That's true. So how have you solved that in your program?
Basically by introspection, like
Mm,
how am I thinking as a chess player?
mm.
Like when do I stop to think? When do I play on intuition, and so on. And then we have built algorithms around these neural networks that emulate all those different aspects of just thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then you also implemented a sort of teaching layer where you actually get, maybe we should demonstrate that. I think that's better because you can have it as a teacher as well. Shall we take up the
Yes.
screen and you can show? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
here is Nocti.
Yeah.
What
So
do
I
we
mean
see here? Yeah.
uh, the basic mode of Nocti is just we know that people don't like to study books several hours per day. They like to play chess.
Mm,
Like most students actually like to play chess. So we're trying to integrate learning into playing because that's what people want to do. So you can, like, I'm currently at this level, Bishop 3, which
mhm,
is like corresponds to a certain skill level in chess. Uh, and I can just play a game against the AI and it tries to play in a human way. But
mhm.
then the interesting thing is, like, after I make each move, it's colored. Like this was a green move.
Yeah.
That means it's a good move.
Okay.
Whereas if I now play, this is, oh, that
Oh.
was a mistake.
Yes. Okay.
So you
So what
get this
happened
kind of,
now? Did you back?
uh,
Did you go back? No.
no, I just wanted to
Okay.
show it. So,
Okay.
and now we see that Nocti actually also played a mistake. This apparently wasn't the best way to punish my mistake. And that
Uh-huh.
gives me a learning opportunity because now I can try to figure out, okay, why wasn't this the best move?
But tell
Um,
me, his move or its move is not
hmm.
red in the same way as your red. It is a different
so
color,
it's not
isn't it?
so it's not as bad as my move. My move was basically
Okay.
a blunder, whereas
Okay, I
this is
see.
just a mistake.
Okay,
And
okay.
this kind of color grading actually corresponds very well to, like, from a human perspective, from let's say a master's perspective,
Hmm.
what's the intuitive evaluation of these moves.
Okay.
And having this, like getting a computer to say which moves are good or not isn't new, except we're doing it much better because it's based on a human-like evaluation.
Mm.
But what's also new is that you get the feedback instantly. And
Yeah.
that's something, if we go to the science of learning, that's something that's crucial for the
Hmm.
brain to learn. So imagine, you're juggling, but you don't get to see whether you've dropped the ball until 10 seconds later. Like your brain wouldn't be able to learn. Or let's say you're playing the piano, but you have headphones so you can't hear when you play the wrong note.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
that's not how the brain learns. You need feedback at the moment you're taking an action.
But can I ask you two things? First of all, how many colors do you have? How many grades are there?
Sure. So there are uh, like we have these red and orange, those are
Mm.
mistakes. And then this is something that most humans probably wouldn't say is a mistake, but there are a lot better moves. It's not the
Mm.
most
Mm.
it's not the best move in the situation.
Okay.
And then we have these green moves. That can be sometimes the best move, but maybe it's the best move, but it's an obvious move. But it's a good move. But then we actually have two colors above that. So one is blue, that's a great move.
Hmm.
And then we have purple,
Hmm.
which is an excellent move. And
Okay.
basically, from a computer's perspective, from a traditional computer's perspective, those would all be classed as, oh, it's just the best move. But from a
Yeah.
human perspective, that's not the full story. Like some moves are really clever. Like this is a move that really demonstrates that you have grasped some aspect of chess. It's not an obvious best move. And that's where we put this blue or purple color. And we find that that's very motivating to not only get told when you're making a mistake, but actually to get encouragement when you're doing something right as well.
Okay. Okay. That was really bad what you did. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's green. What happened there? Okay. Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't interrupt. Please go on and show us how it works.
So now, and this game I played so bad, so I didn't actually get any blue or purple moves, unfortunately. Now I will lose this pawn, right? Let's see. I can do this. Okay, anyway, so I will resign here. What I can do as well is I can get ideas.
Okay.
And this is,
that's good.
yeah, so this isn't, not all of these moves are necessarily the best move. It's just that these are, like, if you would ask a human master, okay, what should I play in this position? They would say something like, oh, well, you could consider maybe either protecting this pawn because it's under attack, or you could give up the pawn and you can be really aggressive and go for a kingside attack, or you can block, like, and they would say that without knowing actually which one is the best. And I think that's up to you as a player to find out. And that's better than just being told, oh, this is the best move. So this kind of gives you ideas for what you should play without taking the driver's wheel away from you. So I will play this one. This looks really interesting. Oh, it's a blue move. It's usually if you use a hint and then you play the move, you almost always get a blue or purple move.
Okay, cool. That was good.
Yeah, Noctie really liked that move.
Yeah.
Because now I get to double the pawns here. Okay, and if I make a mistake, then I can take it back. And that's also something obviously I can't do when playing online because that would be cheating.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, okay, why was this a mistake? So you can just take it back and you can show ideas and you can find out what's the best move. Okay, so I'll give up here. So, and after the game, like we have this progression system. So if I beat this level, then I will get some rating demonstrating that I've increased my skill. But I can also, I didn't get them this time, but if I play significantly above my level, then I will get bonus kind of style points. Like, okay, you didn't win, but you demonstrated that your understanding is higher than your actual rating. Yeah.
Okay.
And I also get these now. Basically, Noctie decided that these are the most instructive mistakes that I make. So this one, for example. Okay, this is a common opening mistake because now Noctie can respond with this move. So I should do something else here so I can find a better move. Okay, so the threat was that Noctie would play d5. So maybe it's good if I protect the d5 square.
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
So this is from your previous game, basically. Your mistakes.
Yes,
it goes through your mistakes. Okay.
Yes, and I get the chance to find a better move, and then all these mistakes are actually stored in a library, so that I can go back to them later. So it's based on spaced repetition learning. So basically, if I made a mistake, that's a great learning opportunity. So you should probably practice that until you can consistently find the best move in that position. And that's what this spaced repetition learning helps achieving.
Okay. And that's called flashcards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the basic usage loop of Noctie. You play games, you get instant feedback, and then you get these flashcards afterwards. But there are also like another thing that's really appreciated by users because you can't get it anywhere else is that you can play games in the opening you like. So one thing that's often frustrating for me as a chess player is I study an opening, like maybe I have a book about an opening, and then I really want to play that. Like, okay, I have learned this now. I want to practice. So I go online and I just hope that they will play the King's India now. But they don't. They play something else, so I don't get the chance to practice it. So that's the idea here, that like I can force the AI to play a specific opening. And in that way, I can finally get some real practice, like in real games, about this opening.
Wow. That's really cool. So, okay, and so can you also go through a game and have it analyzed in natural language in some way?
We have, we have this kind of thing where it says when you make a mistake, now I can play this and this. Something that we're working on is, and that people really want to have, is like, okay, understand more about why is this good, and the alternatives, why are they good, and people would like to have that in a natural language representation. And this is something that's really hard to do. A lot of people have tried to do it, but often it's, when you have when the computer has a bad understanding of the game, and then you try to force it to turn that to human language, that usually isn't good. So we want to make sure that the language that we use is actually based on the same kind of understanding that like a human master would have before adding that.
I see. So, okay, do you want to show something more on the screen, or can we go back to talking without the screen?
No, we can go back to talking.
Okay, because before we end, I want to ask you. So, when did this software company? When did you start it? How long have you been going on with Noctie?
I've been working for about 3 years.
Yeah.
On this, and really started working, like I quit my job and started working full time like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long has it been out? When did you release the first version?
The first real version of the product was released last summer. That was kind of more bare bones than what we have today. But we really wanted to get it out there to get feedback from users and find out like which use cases are they struggling with the most in the current products that exist. So this spring, like 3 weeks ago, we launched the first what we call commercial version of the product. So that's what you have seen today.
That is really cool. So it's really very new. Okay, so before we end, we must you have to explain, where do we find this on the internet, and how do I become a user?
Yeah, sure. So you can find it on Noctie.ai. So I guess maybe we can put some text here or something. So it's Noctie.ai.
Yeah, of course we will.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Noctie.ai.
Yeah.
You can also search for AI chess coach on Google, and you will find it in the top results.
That's good. And you have an app for iPad and iPhone?
Yes. So we have iOS and Android apps as well. So we have basically the same functionality. So you can decide whether you would like to use it on your laptop, on the web version, or if you're playing just a lot on mobile, then I would suggest to use the apps on App Store instead.
Yeah. Okay. So I see. And you are constantly developing this now and releasing new versions, right?
Yes. So maybe I can just quickly show you a funny thing that I developed over the weekend.
Shall I put it up on?
Yeah, you can put it up again.
Okay, here we go. Yes. Dream
So
generator.
yeah, so
That
it's
sounds.
basically I wanted to
Mm.
like I tried making an AI that actually can generate. It can dream up new chess positions. So I built this kind of oh, it actually crashed.
Okay,
I
that's
built
how
this
it is.
yesterday, so it's not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
Dream generator. Okay. And you can have boring, balanced, or crazy, but now it's thinking, here something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now it generated a position. It dreamed up a position. Like this could
yeah.
be a chess position. And then I can adjust the piece count.
Oh,
So
wow.
and I can actually, that didn't work now, but I can actually, normally I can put pieces on the board. So let's say
Okay.
I want to practice a certain pawn structure.
Mm.
Then I could just put pieces on the board that's typical of that pawn structure. And then I could generate a position. And I can choose whether it should generate a boring position or a crazy position.
Okay.
And then when I'm done, I can play that position against Noctie. Yeah,
That's really
so that's
cool.
just a cool thing that I developed now.
That's really cool. I'll take it down again. Okay, finally, Samuel. So, how is the? I mean, as a user, how do I subscribe on this? It's a monthly subscription, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we have it's partially free, so you can just register and go in there and pay for free. And the first thing it will make you do is play a game, and it will tell you your true rating. So if you
Okay.
feel that like the official chess ratings is underestimating your skill, you can try playing against the AI and know your true rating. And then if you sign up, you get access to everything that I just showed you.
Mm.
Although this, instant feedback and the flashcards, that's kind of a limited trial. So after 10 or so games, it will ask you to upgrade.
Yeah.
So if you want to upgrade and support us and keep getting those features, then it's a monthly subscription of 14 euros per month.
Yeah, and that's the sort of premium version.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I really suggest everyone who loves to play chess to do that because it's a fascinating software that is constantly developing. I've tried it for a while as well, and I'm really fascinated. Okay.
How, how,
Yeah, sorry.
how often do you play chess?
Well, I play almost every evening with my wife, a few games of blitz chess after dinner, and with
So
my son
over
as
the
well.
over the board, and with a physical clock.
Actually, with a physical clock and a real classical
Ah,
board, yes,
nice,
because it's nice
nice.
to do that when we are both here, so to speak.
Yeah.
But my wife plays on chess.com quite a lot as well, so
Mhm.
she's better than me now because she's practicing more. But I will start to practice with Nocti now, so I can beat her
Yeah, then you
more
then you
often.
can compare. Like you're practicing with Nocti, she's practicing on chess.com,
Exactly,
and soon maybe the tables have turned.
exactly. That's what I hope for. Okay, Samuel. Thank you very much for being my guest in the Free Tanke podcast, and I wish you the best of success with Nocti.
Thank you for having me and having this talk about chess and AI, my favorite subjects.
Thank you. Okay, bye.